But I think what we need to understand about where we're at right now is that after 20 years of combat, over $2 trillion spent, thousands of lives lost, the result of thousands of Americans and Afghan allies trapped behind enemy lines and billions of dollars equipment in the hands of the Taliban, right? It cannot end like this, right? Regardless of where you have stood on the war, whether you supported it initially and then changed your mind later, whether you decided we need people out, whether you're someone like me that did want to see U.S. forces out of Afghanistan, but wanted to see a conditional withdrawal that actually left us with an ally in place. All right, regardless of where you're at right now, we cannot let what is currently happening be our final chapter in Afghanistan. It would be an insult to everyone that has served over there, and it would be an insult and an absolute betrayal to people that trusted us, that we made promises to. Not to mention the fact that thousands of Americans that are still trapped in place by a Taliban regime that is essentially throwing their weight around right now. Keep in mind, this is the same Taliban regime that the first time we wanted to kick them out of Kabul, it took very few troops and very little time, because they cannot match U.S. combat power, period, the end. Yeah, they can sustain themselves if they want to go run and hide in Pakistan for a while and then come back during the fighting season. But there's no way they possess the capability to go toe-to-toe with U.S. military power. They just don't, and they know that. So what needs to be done now? All right, we know the mess that we're in. What needs to be done now? And this really comes down to a couple of questions. Because I'll tell you what is completely unacceptable. What's completely unacceptable is a report that came out that the State Department was requiring $2,000 from American citizens for rescue from Kabul. Let me go into that a little bit more. The State Department's Overseas Security Advisory Council said on August 14th, reparation flights are not free, and passengers will be required to sign a promissory loan agreement and may not be eligible to renew their U.S. passports till the loan is repaid. Costs may be $2,000 or more per person. Biden administration left behind billions of taxpayer-funded arms. His State Department wanted to charge American taxpayers themselves for the right to be evacuated from a humanitarian disaster that Biden caused. So keep in mind, the reason why this policy is in place, because some people have asked, why would this policy ever be in place? There are times when Americans go to countries, sometimes completely against the advice of the U.S. Embassy. So for instance, they visit a country to do some sort of work. Maybe they're hiking, it doesn't matter why they went there. But the U.S. government essentially says that, look, if you go to a country and there's some sort of, we provide you an advisory with respect to it, and then you need to get out, we will get you out, but the taxpayers will not be on the hook for it. You'll have to pay your way. And in some cases, that makes absolute sense. Does it really make sense in this case? In this case, where you had thousands of Americans that were over there, that were a part of, everything from ISAF, the International Security Assistance Forces, to assisting the U.S. government, to assisting the Afghan government. And then you have this precipitous withdrawal that has completely been botched, where people are stranded, and now you're going to say, yeah, we'll get you out, but it's going to cost you $2,000. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. So as soon as it became public, the State Department actually got rid of that. So what I want you to understand, what I want you to learn from this is not that this is currently going on in Afghanistan. What I want you to learn from it is that when some of these things when they're made public, when people share their stories, when you apply pressure, you can get this administration to change their course of action. And as we look at what's going on with Afghanistan right now, the question is, how do we fix this to make sure that we can get all of our Americans out, and that we can get the people that we owe a debt of honor to based off of promises that we made? How can we get them out? And there's a couple of different ways that you can do this.